Let me tell you about two people. Both of them wake up on January 1st with the same dream, the same goal, the same burning desire to change their life. They are equally intelligent, equally capable, equally hungry for something better than what they have right now. One of them makes a big announcement, tells everyone what they are going to do, sets enormous targets, promises themselves that this year will be different, and then waits for the perfect moment, waits until they feel ready, waits until the conditions are right and the motivation is strong and everything lines up perfectly. The other one does something so small it almost seems pointless. They just do one thing, one tiny thing, every single day, without announcement, without drama, without waiting for perfect conditions. 1 year later, those two people are unrecognizable from each other. The first one is still waiting, still planning, still talking about what they are going to do when the time is right. The second one has quietly, almost invisibly, transformed their entire life. The only difference between them was not talent, was not luck, was not resources or connections or opportunities. It was habit. Daily, consistent, unsexy, unglamorous habit. And if you understand what I am about to tell you, really understand it, not just hear it, but feel it in a way that changes how you move through every single day, your life will never be the same. Everything you have ever wanted is on the other side of a daily habit you have not built yet. Let that land for a second. Not on the other side of a big breakthrough, not waiting for you after one massive effort, not hidden behind a single decision or a single day of hard work. On the other side of a habit, something you do every day, something that seems small, something that in the moment feels almost too insignificant to matter. That is where your life is waiting for you. So why don't people build habits? Why do most people know what they should do, genuinely want to do it, and still fail to make it part of their daily life? Because we have been lied to about how change works. We have been sold a story about transformation that looks like a dramatic moment, a rock bottom that flips a switch, a lightning bolt of inspiration that suddenly makes everything clear, a single decision that rewires your entire life overnight. And so we wait for that moment. We wait for the feeling. We wait to want it badly enough. We wait until we are so uncomfortable that change becomes unavoidable. But here is the truth that changes everything. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. You do not wait until you feel like building a habit. You build the habit and then the feeling comes. You do not wait until you are inspired to start. You start and the inspiration arrives as a result of starting. You do not wait until you believe in yourself enough to begin. You begin and the belief is built from the evidence of your own consistency. The feeling you are waiting for, that certainty, that readiness, that surge of motivation, it is not the starting line. It is the reward for showing up before you felt ready. And that changes everything about how you need to approach the next chapter of your life. Now I want to talk about what a habit actually is, not the dictionary definition, the real, lived experience of what happens inside you when a habit takes root. In the beginning, a habit is a decision. Every single time. You have to decide to do it. You have to choose it consciously, deliberately, sometimes against every instinct that is telling you to do something easier, something more comfortable, something that feels better right now. The first day is a decision. The second day is a harder decision. The third day you question why you started. The first week feels like climbing with weights on your back. The second week, something subtle shifts. The third week, it starts to feel slightly less impossible. The first month, it starts to feel like something you just do. And somewhere around the second or third month, something extraordinary happens. The decision disappears. You stop fighting with yourself about whether to do it. You stop negotiating, stop making excuses, stop needing to convince yourself. It just happens, because it is who you are now. It is what you do. It is part of the architecture of your day in a way that feels as natural as breathing. That is the moment. That is what you are building toward. Not the results, those come later. First, you are building the identity of someone who does this thing every day, regardless of how they feel. And once that identity is built, once you have become the person who shows up consistently, everything else becomes a question of time. Think about the most successful people you admire, the ones who seem to have it all figured out, the ones whose discipline looks effortless, the ones who produce at a level that seems impossible from the outside. They didn't get there with one big effort, they got there with thousands of small ones. They got there because years ago they built a habit, maybe a small habit, maybe something that looked completely insignificant in the beginning, and they fed it every day, even on the days it felt pointless, even on the days nobody was watching, even on the days the results were nowhere to be seen. And the habit compounded, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And what looked like overnight success from the outside was actually 1,000 quiet mornings of someone choosing to show up for themselves. That's the truth about every transformation you have ever admired. There was a habit at the center of it, a daily practice, a non-negotiable, something they did before the world had a chance to interrupt. Now let me talk about the science of why this works, because this is not just philosophy. There is something real happening in your brain every time you repeat a behavior.
Every time you perform an action, your brain creates a neural pathway. Think of it like a trail through tall grass. The first time you walk through, it is hard. You are pushing through resistance. The path is barely visible. The second time, it is slightly easier. The third time, easier still. The 100th time, the path is so well worn that your feet find it automatically. You do not have to think about it. You do not have to decide. Your brain has automated the process. That is what a habit is at the neurological level. It is a pathway that has been walked so many times it becomes the default route. And once something is your default, once your brain has decided this is just what we do, the mental effort required drops to almost nothing. This is why habits are so powerful, and this is why the beginning is so hard, and why so many people quit before they get there. Because in the beginning, you are doing the most neurologically expensive work. You are forging new pathways through territory your brain has never visited before. Of course it is uncomfortable. Of course it requires effort. Of course you will not feel like it. But every single repetition is laying a brick. Every time you show up, you are building the road. And one day, the road is complete, and then you just drive on it, automatically, effortlessly, like it was always there. The people who understand this do not ask themselves whether they feel like doing their habit today. They ask themselves whether they are the kind of person who does this. And the answer is always yes, because they already decided. The decision was made weeks ago, months ago, and every day since then has just been living out that decision. Let me tell you about the habits that actually matter, because not all habits are created equal. And if you're going to invest your limited daily energy into building something, it should be something that compounds into the life you actually want. The first category is physical habits. What you do with your body every day is not just about health, it is about everything. When you move your body consistently, when you exercise, when you sleep with intention, when you eat in a way that gives you energy instead of stealing it, you are not just improving your physical health, you are improving your mental clarity, your emotional regulation, your ability to handle stress, your confidence, your sense of what you are capable of. The body is not separate from the mind. It is the physical foundation of your entire experience of being alive. And when that foundation is strong, when you have built the habit of taking care of it, everything built on top of it becomes more stable. Start simple, ridiculously simple. 5 minutes of movement, a walk, 8 glasses of water, sleeping 30 minutes earlier. It does not have to be extreme to be effective. It has to be consistent. Consistent beats extreme every single time. The second category is mental habits. What you feed your mind every day is shaping who you are becoming. Every piece of content you consume, every conversation you engage in, every book you read or do not read, it's all input. And your output, your thinking, your decisions, your creativity, your perspective is directly shaped by that input. Build the habit of reading, even 10 pages a day, even 5. At 10 pages a day, you finish 15 to 20 books a year. At 5 pages, you still finish 10. And 10 books a year for 5 years on subjects that matter to your growth, that is a level of knowledge that separates people. That is the habit that quietly builds an understanding of the world that most people never develop because they were too busy consuming noise. Build the habit of thinking, actual thinking, not scrolling, not reacting, thinking. Spend time every day, even 10 minutes, in silence with your own thoughts, with a journal, with a question you are genuinely trying to answer. In a world of infinite distraction, the person who can sit with their own mind and actually think is already ahead of almost everyone. The third category is skill habits. Whatever you want to build in your life, whatever you want to be known for, whatever you want to create, it requires skill. And skill is built through repetition, daily repetition. The habit of practicing, creating, producing, learning. You want to write? Write every day, even 1 paragraph. You want to build a business? Work on it every day, even 30 minutes. You want to learn a language, an instrument, a craft, a discipline? Give it something every single day. Not because 1 day of practice changes everything, but because the person who practices every day for a year is unrecognizable from the person who practices occasionally. The gap between daily and inconsistent is not proportional to the time invested, it is exponential. Daily practice does not just build skill, it builds the identity of a practitioner, and practitioners become masters. The fourth category is relational habits. How you show up for the people in your life every day shapes the quality of those relationships in ways that compound over time. A daily habit of genuine connection, a phone call, a real conversation, a moment of actual presence with someone you love, builds something that cannot be manufactured when you finally decide to invest. Relationships are built in the consistent small moments, not the grand gestures. Now, I want to talk about the biggest mistake people make when they try to build habits. They try to build too many at once. They get inspired, maybe by a video like this one, and they decide that tomorrow they are going to wake up at 5 in the morning, work out for an hour, meditate for 20 minutes, journal for 30 minutes, read for an hour, eat perfectly, and be in bed by 10. And for 3 days, maybe 4, they do it, and it feels incredible. They feel like a new person. They feel like they have finally figured it out. And then day 5 comes, and they are exhausted, and they miss one thing. And then they feel like a failure. And then they miss another, and then the whole structure collapses because it was built on willpower instead of habit. And they conclude that they are not a disciplined person, that this does not work for them. But the problem was not them. The problem was the approach.
Willpower is a finite resource. It depletes throughout the day, and trying to rebuild your entire life simultaneously requires so much willpower that you will burn through it in days. The way habits actually work, the way they stick, the way they last, the way they become who you are instead of what you are trying to do, is one at a time. One habit, made automatic, then another, then another. Start with one. The one that, if you did it every day for the next 90 days, would have the biggest impact on your life. Just one. Make it small enough that you cannot say no. Small enough that even on your worst day, you can still do it. Want to build a reading habit? Read 1 page a day to start. 1 page. That is your minimum. On good days, you will read 10, 20, 50 pages. But on the hardest days, you read 1, and you never break the chain. Want to build an exercise habit? Start with 5 minutes. Walk around the block. Do 10 push-ups, something so small it feels almost embarrassing to call it a workout, but you do it every day. You never miss. And after 30 days, 5 minutes becomes 10, 10 becomes 20, 20 becomes a genuine practice, because the habit is already formed. You just expand what happens inside it. This is how transformation actually works, not through massive effort, through massive consistency with small effort. And here's what nobody tells you about the season when you are building habits. It is going to look like nothing is happening for a long time. You are going to show up day after day doing the work, and the results will be invisible. The scale will not move. The bank account will not change. The skill will not feel improved. The life will not look different. And in that season, everything in you is going to want to quit, because your brain is wired to seek immediate feedback, to want to see the result of the effort, to need some confirmation that the work is working. But the results of daily habits do not come linearly. They come exponentially, and exponential growth looks flat for a long, long time, and then suddenly it does not. Think of it like a block of ice sitting in a room that starts at -10 degrees. You start raising the temperature, -8, -6, -4, -2. Nothing happens. The ice looks exactly the same. Someone watching would say the temperature change is having no effect. And then you hit 0, and the ice cracks and melts, and everything changes at once. That's what's happening during the invisible season of your habits. You are raising the temperature. Nothing looks different, but something is changing every day. Every repetition, every decision to show up, even when it doesn't seem to matter. You are building the pressure. You are loading the spring. You are raising the temperature. And one day, the ice breaks. And when it does, it looks like it happened overnight. But you will know the truth. You will know it happened in 1,000 quiet moments when nobody was watching, when you did the thing anyway. When you showed up even though you didn't feel like it, when you chose the habit over the excuse every single time. That's what daily habit does. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. It rewrites your identity from the inside. It transforms you from someone who is trying to do something into someone who just does it, from someone who wants to be disciplined into someone who simply is. And that person, the one built through daily habit, they are not held back by motivation. They are not waiting for the right conditions. They are not dependent on how they feel on any given morning. They show up. They do the work. They build the life, quietly, consistently, every single day. So here's where I leave you. You do not need a new year to start. You do not need a Monday. You do not need to feel ready or inspired or certain or perfect. You need today, this moment, one small habit, small enough to be impossible to avoid, repeated every day until it becomes who you are. Pick one thing, the one thing that done daily would change everything, and do it today. Not the full version, not the perfect version, the smallest possible version. 5 minutes, 1 page, 10 steps, 1 glass of water, 1 moment of stillness. Just begin, and then begin again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. The life you want is not behind a door you haven't found yet. It is not waiting for you to be ready. It is not held in reserve for people more talented or lucky or deserving than you. It is being built right now, in the daily habits of people who decided that small, consistent action was worth more than the perfect plan that never started. Decide to be one of those people, starting today, because everything compounds. Every day you build, the foundation gets stronger. Every day you show up, the identity gets clearer. Every day you choose the habit, the person you are becoming gets closer. And one day, not too far from now, you will look back at today, at this moment, at the decision you made here, and you will understand that this was not a small day. This was the day everything started to change. The power of daily habit is not in what it does to your schedule, it's in what it does to you. Now go build something, one day at a time.